Joining us once again on Loudwire Nights is Dustin Bates, frontman for Starset. It's been far too long since you've been on the show. It was when you were promoting Vessels. So welcome. Nice to have you back.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Excellent. So what is on the to-do list before we get into, business, new music? What's on the to-do list for Dustin today? What are you up to?
Well, we're working on live video content. Currently, I'm walking my dog to get a coffee. But the big plan is to get all of the content ready for the live show. That's the main thing. And then gonna tease a new song as well today. Mm-hmm. I believe we have a little contest with fans. If they do enough random tasks for us, we're gonna put a song out.
Yeah, I saw that. I've actually seen bands attempt that and say something like, be very specific. Like, if this gets 1,000 retweets, we're going to unlock the song, and then they don't get the 1,000 retweets, and it's like, oh. That's not good.
Yeah, that's definitely a fear. That's the worst. So we didn't publicize our metrics.
Yeah, exactly. Smart. All right, let's talk about the new album, Divisions. Always have to ask, because everybody wonders about the title of the record and what it means to you.
Yeah, there's a couple things. The first is what's the most obvious to me, but it's definitely not the most obvious to others. It's within the narrative. It's based in the 2040s after a third generation of neural lace takes over, which is, if you ever heard of neural lace, Elon Musk talks about it all the time.
No,
but
unfamiliar.
Basically, people are controlled by, something that reads your brainwaves, and it can basically provide a lot of good and entertainment, and you can look at your own memories, you can experience the amalgam of a drug trip or a vacation, but at the same time, your mind can be read and you can be sort of controlled. And one half of the population has taken on this, what's called a BMI, and the other half live off the grid. And I wouldn't say half, but the other portion of the population live off of the grid, off of this BMI, away from everything. And so these two populations live very different lives. So that's the narrative part of the Divisions. And then within the context of the record, I think this record has a different sound. I produced it myself, and it has a distinct, Starset is always going to be a blend of cinematics and orchestrations and electronics and hard rock, but the way we blend it and the way we go about it is always going to be different for every record. And this one, I expected to be essentially divisive, and so, as a result, Divisions came about there as well.
Why do you expect it to be divisive?
Well, it hasn't been so far, but let's just look at Manifest, for instance. It's one of the heaviest songs and one of the poppiest songs we've ever done at the same time. So I actually have seen comments. People be like, oh, this is just way too heavy for me. Or this, I can't get into the super heavy, gent guitar or whatever. Or other people that say, this is too pop for me. And it's hilarious, actually. But I get it. I went in, I understood that would be the case. And so even within the context of that song, it's essentially stylistically divisive.
So would you describe the record as pop or heavy, or which way does it lean more? What's the right answer? Because all the YouTube comments I saw on Manifest, I got to say, are overwhelmingly positive. I was even going to comment, you guys have some of the best fans and the most positive community. They never say anything bad about Starset.
I try to go off of the Starset grid,
right,
to find other comments, And yes, our fans are absolutely amazing. I'm sure most fans say that about their fans, but for us, it's like statistically improbably amazing. I can't even. One of the songs, Where the Skies End, I think last I checked, it had 0.24% dislike to like ratio. That's like 36,000 likes and 33 dislikes. It's out of control. And first off, if you look at that, I always think of my high school as a sample for trying to understand demographics. And if you think of, I graduated with 250 people, that's like having less than one person dislike it. And everybody had way more jerks than that in their high school. So I don't even know how it's statistically possible. But beyond that, I went on a huge tangent there. Sorry. But
It's what you do, Dustin. It's what you do.
Yeah. I think one of the funny things is I tell the label is we need to get the hate. I think hate comes with when you get a disproportionate amount of ears on something or love on something. Like society has to come and hate on it to bring it back to proportion. So for the label, once we start getting a lot of hate, then we'll know that we've blown up beyond our means.
Okay. Let's bring it back to the original question, which is back. Yeah, well, we're talking about sound, so poppy, heavy. I know it's hard to describe a record sound, but yeah.
Maybe I was inadvertently avoiding the question because last album I answered that with I said it's going to get more metal, it's going to get more pop, and that was true. But people heard the word pop and they just ran with it. Mm-hmm. They were like, "This is too pop for me." And the last record was definitely. When you analyze the chord structure and the various aspects of the album, Vessels was a heavier album than Transmission. But I said that bad word, and people heard it that way. So I'm just going to let people say, listen to it yourself and decide.
There you go. There's the answer. Any crazy experimenting going on?
Yeah. I mean, the most glaring experiment is that I produced it myself. So... I've been a part of many records before, but this time the buck stops here. It's all on me. It was a lot of fun to try to help generate a new sound, but yeah, every day was an experiment. The incorporation of different types of rock, of the three components, of the rock component, the cinematic component, and the electronic component, that's always going to be an experiment. It's always going to be trying to incorporate different elements of it. And even down to the mix, it was always an experiment. The mix Dan Lancaster mixed it, and he did an amazing job, but it's mixed in a different way and mastered in a different way than rock usually is. It's much cleaner. That doesn't mean it's not heavy. Yeah, I'm always worried about using specific words that make people think it's gone softer or something.
Yeah, you're thinking about this way too much. You're like thinking of every word
That's everything. That's my life.
That is your life. Only you would know the percentage of likes versus no likes and compare it to something in high school and the 1%. That is your life.
Everything I do is overly analytical.
Yeah, we know this. We appreciate this about you. Someone was writing about the band's new song, and they described you as the band's enigmatic frontman and PhD candidate. Like, you sound so good on paper. Does any part of you regret not going down the guaranteed paycheck doctor route?
I guess a small portion, but not really. If you asked me that 5 years ago, maybe, but I'm quite satisfied with the choice. I went into this knowing that it was a risk, but it was my ultimate goal and my ultimate dream that superseded engineering and science. So, this is very fulfilling. So I'm happy with it. Although, even to this day, if you added up all the paychecks that could have happened,
right,
it probably still would supersede this awesome music gig.
Right.
In terms of pay. Yeah.
There's been some changes behind the scenes where the band's kind of taking matters into their own hands. I don't know if that's something you want to talk about or not.
Yeah, we self-manage.
Right. What led to that?
Ron, the bassist, and I. What's that?
What led to that?
So manage, for the most part, a manager is taking care of day-to-day aspects that Ron and I don't have. We found ways to streamline or automate, and haven't had or had the ability to take care of. Ron comes from the corporate world. We're a little bit atypical when it comes to a band, and we found it exceptionally easy, and it added stress with management when we were able to do those things. And a lot of times the management component added delays to things, which could cause issues. We've had fine managers, in the past, very obviously, that manage huge bands and are very good at it. But for now, we're just happy with doing those things on our own. We do understand that there are people that can maybe open larger doors, but we see that if we can set up the potential for doors to open, they tend to come your way anyways.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I saw that you wrote a new song on the Saint Estonia record. I asked Adam Gontier if you had deep talks about automation when I interviewed him a few days ago, but he told me you guys pretty much work remotely. How much writing do you do with other bands? Like anything else we would recognize? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's actually 2 songs on the Saint Estonia record. I'm pumped about them. Just may or may not have heard them yesterday. Excited about them. And then I did a couple songs on the most recent Red record. And not much otherwise, but I'm considering doing it more often for sure. But I need to find the time. And as long as I keep doing everything with our band, there's limited time.
Okay. Starset kicking off their tour on the same day as the album release with a show in the home state of Ohio, September 13th. Has this stage show changed? I know there's always a lot happening on a Starset stage. You had cellists, violins, that plexiglass drum riser with the projection. What can you tell us about what's going to happen starting September 13th?
Well, the first glaring change is that there's new wardrobe for everybody. I would say that half of the show is going to feel familiar. The first half of the demonstration is going to be extra demonstration-y, I would say, with entirely new looks and new nods to the new narrative. Essentially, there's been one novel that tells our story, and there is about to be a second novel. I'm not sure exactly when it will come out, but there's an entirely new narrative. And so the record and the marketing and especially the live show all nod to that.
Okay. According to trustyloudwire.com, Divisions offers a new chapter glimpsing the dystopian future where technology has taken over in the war for human consciousness. Like, what is different about this new chapter?
Essentially, the technologies that are being focused on are different. The overarching idea of Starset is looking at science and tech and how it's affecting our lives now and in the near future, philosophically, economically, politically, socially, etc. And so everything works within that framework. And as I mentioned earlier, the technology for this album, in the last it was the memes. It was a thing called the everything machine, sort of set up for an entirely different future. And this one is a thing called the brain machine interface, which is that neural lace. And so it's basically the cell phone of the future, what a society might look like. And it obviously has parallels to modern times.
We'll wrap on this very ridiculous question, but before we do so, where is this coffee place? Because we've been talking for 18 minutes and you're still walking because I hear the cars.
Yep. So in classic me, I just keep throwing myself on the bus here, but I actually did just reach here, but it is a 20-minute walk. I've been doing it every day as a sort of, if I walk to get my coffee, I can have calls and also get my blood moving. So everything is analytical. It's kind of outrageous. I guess I'm a computer.
Multitasking. You're just multitasking. The most bang for your 20 minutes. Get a little work done, do a little exercise, and get a caffeine fix. It works.
Yeah, and the craziest thing is Ernie, my dog, he takes he takes 2 dumps on the way. So I have to bring 2 bags so I don't embarrass myself.
Oh my God. Have you ever run out of a bag and Ernie goes and somebody's staring at you and you're like, what do I do? What do I do?
No, that's exactly it. So he did it 3 days and I just wasn't ready for this ridiculousness. And so I had to pretend on the third time I had to feign like surprise and be like, it was all an act. Like,
of course.
Looking in my pocket for a bag I knew wasn't there. Like, and then look around and count down and then just start walking again.
I love it. That
Be that
happened to
guy
me.
that left dog crap on the sidewalk.
Okay, that happened to me once in New York, and there was two men walking by me, and I know that they were staring at me, and I just kept walking. I said, "Don't judge me," and he goes, "Oh, I'm judging you. You're disgusting," and like I couldn't say anything. I was like, "You're right. I am. I am." Okay, that's hilarious. All right, we'll wrap on this kind of ridiculous question. There couldn't be a more Starset sounding track list, right? Stratosphere, Solstice, other worlds than these, on and on. But I would like to ask you this. If somebody bought you a star, would it be romantic or cheesy?
It would be irrational,
Oh,
because that would mean someone was selling stars, which actually is a brilliant concept. But
it is.
you know,
It is. You could register. Okay, it's not buying a star. You could register a star. Close enough.
yeah, okay, gotcha. I've seen that, I think, but that's such a brilliant marketing idea. But yeah, I guess it would be a romantic notion, or it'd be a nice notion at least.
Okay.
I don't know if it's romantic, but I wouldn't think it's cheesy per se.
Okay.
It's nice.
Okay. We don't want to think about it too much. Just in passing. You're the best, Dustin. Is there anything else you want to bring up? What did I not touch on?
No, that was a great, thorough interview, and I appreciate it.
It's pretty much it.
I just want people to know that this tour and this record both start and drop on the same day, September 13th.
Yes, sir. All right. On that note, as you said, Divisions out September 13th. Tour kicks off in Ohio the same day. Google is your friend for those dates. Thank you for your time, Dustin. As always a huge pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Take care, man.